You feel like you could be in an entire crowded room, but you still feel alone. That you feel like, I want to say these things, but I can't. And even though there could be 100 people around you, you're scared to bring it up. I don't want to cry at the nurse's station. I don't want to be upset during the entire day that I feel like, you know what, I finally need help. And there's just that point where that darkness is going to come over you that you finally have to realize you have to ask for it. I can't tell you how many patients' rooms I've walked into and I've had tears in my eyes. And they don't realize it because you're moving around, you're doing things, but as a nurse, you can't stop. You can't let that affect you. And I think that that's what's difficult, is because we let it affect us. And a lot of people don't have a counselor or a therapist or someone to go to, or even family to be supportive. And that just makes it become that much more, you know, bottled up in them. It's difficult trying to raise a child, plus like then having to come home and like shut off those emotions that you've had at home, then to have mom be this happy person where you just saw someone go through a major change or did CPR on someone or had to tell their family member that they're dead. I mean, it's very hard. It's very hard to like have that mentality of like cutting it off and like coming home and having home life and having work life. It's not like you can just leave an office and say, hey, I'm done for the day. It's still all there mentally. I have to like clear my head and I have to get away from it, because that's the thing. Like a lot of nurses even that I do know, like take it all home with them. And it's hard to raise a family and have a husband or a wife and kids to, all right, time for go to bed. Like, let's be happy and, you know, put these books together and start reading. And as a nurse, like you get the brunt of it. You get them upset. And if I was in that situation, I don't know what I would do. I mean, I had 2 family members pass away during COVID and I didn't see either of them. We didn't even get to have a funeral because of it. And it's hard because it's like that's what we're taught to do, is have that connection with our family, and it's a totally different mentality now, and it's just so distant than what it used to be. I get fulfillment out of my job, but it's in a different way now than it was before, because I feel like a lot of people have built up a lot of anger towards the healthcare system because of COVID. It's getting difficult to get yelled at every day. I think that a lot of people don't realize it's a problem until somebody else has to notice it. You might notice it in yourself, but nobody wants to be the person to say, I have an issue that I need help with. No one wants to admit help a lot of the time because they're scared to, because they're scared of being judged or what society is going to think, or their coworkers or their family. Everyone has to deal with it. And I think it's the medical field that you have to learn to flip it on and off so quickly to not show emotion. I go to the chapel every time on lunch. I spend 10 minutes there by myself to replay the things in my head that have happened in my shift and to move on from them, and to pray for myself and to pray for these people, and just to have the clarity and the peacefulness to move on with the rest of my shift. And I feel like taking a minute throughout your busy day to pause, to reflect on that, really can help move forward in my day. I'm thankful that I have a counselor that I can call or text at any time, or friends that I have support with. It's very good to have an outside source to help you through those instances where, hey, I had a really bad day today, and you might not have known the patient or anything that was going on, but at least you can help me through it in a different way than someone that was right there next to me. It's just this whole stigma that if you have a mental health issue, you're bipolar or you're schizophrenic, but it can just be the basics of having anxiety about going into work and not knowing what your shift is going to be, or the depression that comes afterwards with, you know, seeing family members die, and then you have to go home and see your family and know that they're not seeing that. It's very important to open yourself up to someone, because I feel like if you just bottle all of that in, it's just going to be worse.
It's unimaginable dealing with death every day, and that's what so many of our frontline workers have been doing for the past more than a year, as you heard in the story of Ashley just moments ago. Amber Withrow is a therapist at Milan Christian Counseling. Amber, good morning. Thanks for joining us today.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. So how have doctors and nurses and those in the healthcare field, how have they fared this past year?
I have to say not well, of course. I mean, it's amazing. I'm fortunate enough to work with clients within the medical field. I'm fortunate enough to have a sister and other families in the medical field. So feel so heavily for those that have chosen to take on this profession. And now here they are taking on this profession within a pandemic. And Ashley explained it so well of it's not just about taking on this already difficult profession. On top of that, they're parents, and they're feeling and experiencing so many of these unexpected, significant situations that, especially a year ago, we didn't have the toolbox for. We didn't know how to proceed, how to manage. It was new for everyone.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, uncharted waters there. So, and Ashley talks about how, you know, as a nurse, she's got to, you know, put on a positive, you know, face and not show people that she might be upset about something, and turn things on and off, and that has to be difficult. Walk us through a little bit exactly what folks like Ashley are dealing with right now.
One thing, especially in the medical field, it's so unique. Nurses talk about that 30 seconds, the 30 seconds they have in between rooms, and having to adjust their emotions and having to adjust the way that their brain is focused. And then to have to do that all day and then adjust back home. You know, I talk a lot about our work brain and our personal brain, and of how there really is two compartments there, and of how it can be so tricky to, because it never really shuts off. We really do carry things with us all day. Those are high feelings, high empathy roles. Mm-hmm. And even outside of the medical field, people connect with that of whether, you know, with all the different roles that we have taken on. I think women, especially within women's health, of all these different hats that we were already wearing, and now we're homeschool teachers, and now we're around our families so much more. And, you know, and that can be very heavy, very overwhelming.
Overwhelming is the word I was just thinking, but it sounds like Ashley has found some ways to cope through this a little bit. She's got some tools, she's got some strategies. Talk us through some of those strategies and what people at home can do as well.
Absolutely. I think Ashley is a wonderful model for so much of what we encourage and teach, and then encourage that implementation of the way that she emphasizes that self-awareness, that the way that she highlights of how giving yourself grace, that this is incredibly hard, this isn't easy to navigate. And, you know, she's willing to do that with a therapist, with seeking out friends, with, especially with the use of faith. We know that faith of some kind of spirituality is such a huge piece of well-being that really does, you know, help us within our holistic health.
And she's taking those moments during the day to go to the chapel, pray. People can meditate. Those are really great strategies that people can use as we continue to get through the state of dis-ease, as we call it. Amber, thank you so much for joining us this morning. We appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
Yep.